Since the beginning of the occupation, in contravention of international law, the Russian Federation pursues the policy on forcible change of the demographic composition of the Crimean Peninsula. This policy poses a variety of challenges for human rights protection. The negative impact is manifested by massive violations of human rights and fundamental freedoms. The right to life, to personal freedom, right not to be subjected to torture, right to respect for private and family life, etc. Also, it poses a serious threat for the occupation and reintegration of the Crimean Peninsula into Ukraine. Firstly, the increase in the number of population loyal to the occupying power allows the aggressor to manipulate the international community in future, for example, by holding another pseudo-referendum. Secondly, the lack of international responsibility for demographic changes, as well as violation of obligation not to recognize the consequences of an internationally wrongful act, leads to increase the Russian presence on the occupied territory. For example, the success of implementation of relatively small infrastructure projects stimulates the realization of large ones, as Nova Eupatoria. Thirdly, the policy on forcible change of the demographic composition can also be adopted for other territories uncontrolled by their internationally recognized sovereign, Transnistria, Abkhazia, North Ossetia. Firstly, in addition to its own population, the Russian Federation encourages the resettlement of nationals of satellite states. It raises the question of where to direct the flow of colonizers in future, in order to avoid the massive violation of human rights and not to trigger the New World migration crisis. Among the long-term consequences is the threat to Ukrainian national identity in Crimea. In fact, Russia is trying to modify Stalin's approach to demographic replacement, arguing that this process is independent from it and objectively conditioned. Also, the policy on forcible change of the demographic composition doesn't have immediate consequences. It has an equally disruptive impact on civilian population of the occupied territory. In future, this policy will require considerable efforts to implement the strategy to return and to adopt the displacement persons and to determine the fate of colonizers.